Hello and welcome back to the part 2 of our lighting tutorial here. Um, where we left off with where we had the render done with our HDRI environment map, and right now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to adjust this scene to have lighting from the particular direction I want it to be, which for now it's coming from the right side of the building, as we're facing the right side of the building, and you can see as it casts the shadows onto the left area of the building. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to come up with my material editor, and it is where we're going to adjust our HDRI to have the light of the sun casting from the probably at an angle of 45 to the building, so we can get a nice and interesting shadow cast on the building. Okay, so right now we go into our material editor, and where we have our HDRI map, and this is where we adjust that. Let's do it, run a test run, and we adjust our angle to 45, because right now it's straight to it, so we adjust our angle to 45, which it's of this horizontal rotation and not the vertical rotation. You don't have to touch it vertical rotation, because then you would have to be shifting the position of the landscape equally, which is not going to be good, and you don't want to shift that vertically. You only want to do an horizontal rotation, which, like, the sun is just going round the building horizontally. Okay, and we're going to do a test on this as we've known, and I'll do a render and I'll come back to that. Okay, right now we can see the actual burn we have from our sunlight, which from our HDRI sunlight, the sun cast we're getting from our HDRI light. You can actually see the amount of burn we have from it. So from this would have to learn to, like, know that from here would have to tone the light down, which doesn't affect our background, which is a very good thing because of our type of setup. So right now we can tone this down to a 1.0, and we can do a render from here and see what our burn value looks like, because we don't want our building to be overburnt, and because right now this is too burnt for whatever we want to get. So what we're going to do now is, since we still have this to be as our 1, we don't have a problem with that. It dynamically updates in the background and in this as well. So the good thing is we only have to adjust the lighting here, and it doesn't affect anything about the background, because this still remains the same thing. So at 1, I'm going to try this at 1, and I'm going to try at 0.5, so we see what we actually get before we now bring in our sunlight, our real light to cast our sun and give us a hard shadow, because right now we get soft shadows, though a little bit of shadow here, but it's still quite soft. When you can see right here, and you can see the gradient here, and it's a very smooth one, not a sharp kind of gradient. Okay, a sharp kind of transition, so would need something to give it. But at times I leave my scene as is, because I think I want that type of lighting to be soft depending on the daytime I'm setting up for my scene. But right now we are looking at a sunny day, and obviously we're supposed to be getting a sharp shadow, a hard shadow with sharp shades and all that. So for now, let's do a couple of setup, and I'll adjust this to 1 and do a render, then I'll adjust this to 0.5 and do a render, and come back. Okay, right now we have I have 3 different renders. I rendered this one at the 1.0 at multiplier of 1.0, and this is what I get. Then I rendered one at a multiplier of 0.5 at 0.5, and this is what I get. Then I did another render at 0.85 and this is what I get. So I think what we're going to do right now is, I think I'm a little bit satisfied with this 0.85. If not, we might as well just go ahead and choose the 0.5, but the 0.85 seems good to me because we're still going to have a, it might look dark for now, but we're still going to have a sunlight in it, and which is going to light it up a little bit more than give a hard shadow and some more burn in some areas out there. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to try to set our sunlight to cast in the same direction as the sun from our HDRI environment map is casting. So what we do is I'm going to drop this to the other screens and dropping this to another screen. So I'm going to get my frame safe zones out by using Ctrl F, and I'm going to use my P to switch to perspective view. And one more thing, and I'm going to take a look at my, because what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in light, sunlight into our scene. Mostly what light I use is I still use my V-Ray light. I think it's good for everything I'm using because I'm using a V-Ray renderer, and I use my V-Ray sun equally. So when I set my V-Ray sun, let's first get to the left viewport and cast drop my light in my scene and right there. But right now I don't want to, it will ask me if I would like to create an environment sky map, but right now I don't need anything about the environment sky because I already have my environment, so I say no. But if you have mistakenly dump that, or if in you want to modify a scene and you already have that as that, and let's take a look at that. Let's delete this and create again, and if it asks us, then we say yes, and we say would you like to replace? Yes, it says it's already existing, and would you like to replace? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into that environment map, and you can see that it has actually replaced our HDRI map that we've applied, and it has applied the V-Ray default environment sky, which comes with the V-Ray sun. So how to replace this, you can just if just in case you might want to keep this, you just bring it in and drop here, then say OK instance, and you can see what it looks like. But right now we want to replace it with this one we have had in it before. So what we're going to do is still the same good old drag and drop into it, and you say instance, and fine, we have it there, and it's still the same thing as we have had it to give us a good enough lighting as this. Okay, now we would look at this sun, so we can create the cast in the direction we have from our HDRI environment map. So what we're going to do is, from our previous render, we can see that there is a little bit of cast, and it seems it's like at an angle of 45, and you can see that cast at an angle of 45. So we're going to try to simulate this to go at an angle of 45 as well. So let's switch this as about right here. It's good, and we can rotate and say, because we still have that sun somewhere right here, and what we're going to do is, I think we're going to bring it a little bit lower, just a little bit, and to give that simulation. So what we're going to do is now come to that camera shot, that camera view, and do a render and see what our sun looks like casting on that at the same time with our environment map, and you see how good it comes out, and the beauty of having to set up a scene in this way. Alright, okay, here I'm not right now. I've done okay, right here now I've done a render with our setup of the sun setup, and I've added this V-Ray sun, and I've angled it according to the original light setup we have from our V-Ray HDRI sky map. And so right now what I have is, upon my render, this is what I came up with, and which looks very good with as compared to, and we have a similar sun cast according to the environment map, which is HDRI that was used to calculate our lighting setup. And you can take a look at that, and we have it right here, which looks as good as, almost as good as we want it. And though we might have to need to bring down the sun level a little bit more, which of course, but as we can pass for this as of now. Then we have a good hard shadow right here as compared to the soft one here, and the very good sunburn cast right here, and which makes scene look more realistic, and as compared to when we have just the HDRI image as our sky, as our lighting setup. So what we have right now is good, and this is how I do my initial setup before I go into further other setting, putting up a good environment and a couple of other settings. But initially, this is what you need to do, a jump start of your render setup with lighting. And I hope this comes in very useful, and you can have a good work done from here. And furthermore, in other tutorials I'll be showing you how to do some basic setup, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you.